As a psychologist, I've spent thousands of hours sitting across from men who are utterly bewildered. They'll list everything they did right on a date. The nice restaurant, the compliments, the perfect goodnight text. And then stare at me, hands open in supplication, asking, "So why did she ghost me?" They think it's a formula, a checklist. But let me tell you a secret that decades in this field have taught me. Women aren't giving you a test you can study for. They are putting you through an initiation, and it's not your niceness they're testing. It's your spine. The great misdirection, it's never about the shoes. Let's start with the things you think matter. You've read the articles, you've seen the lists. Your shoes, your hygiene, the way you talk about your ex, your ambition, how you treat the waiter. And yes, on a surface level, these things are being noticed. Believe me, no woman is thrilled by scuffed loafers or a man who berates the person bringing him his steak. These are data points, collected silently and swiftly, often in the first few moments of an encounter. A client of mine, a successful tech entrepreneur named Mark, was a perfect example. He was smart, good-looking, and wealthy, but his dating life was a revolving door. He'd come into my office, frustrated after another fizzled-out connection. "I don't get it," he'd say. I wore the designer watch. I took her to the best place in town. I was a perfect gentleman, but then we'd dig deeper. He was rude to the valet. He'd check his phone constantly during dinner, waiting for an important email. He'd talk about his ex-girlfriend as if she were a villain in a comic book, casting himself as the perpetual victim. He did all the things on the don't list. Here's the critical distinction men like Mark miss. These individual actions aren't the problem. They are symptoms of the problem. A woman doesn't dismiss a man because his shoes are dirty. She dismisses him because dirty shoes suggest a man who doesn't pay attention to details, who lacks self-respect. She doesn't write him off for being short with the cashier. She writes him off because it reveals a man whose character is weak, a man who needs to feel powerful by diminishing others. These are all just breadcrumbs leading back to the one central thing she is unconsciously assessing: your internal stability. Your strength, not your physical strength, but the solidity of your character, your emotional core. The ancient psychologist Carl Jung had a name for the internal feminine within a man: the anima. He understood that a woman, on a deep, almost mythical level, doesn't ask a man to be strong. She summons it from him, often through chaos and contradiction. She is testing your reality, looking for cracks. The real test, the unspoken power of containment. I could distill this one secret quality into a single word. It would be containment. This isn't control. It's not suppression or emotional detachment. Containment is the divine masculine ability to hold chaos without flinching, without fixing, and without fleeing. It's the capacity to remain centered in the middle of a storm, whether that storm is brewing inside you or raging around you. It's a quiet confidence that shows you know what you stand for. You're clear on your goals, and most importantly, you have a positive relationship with yourself. Think of it like this. Are you an oak tree, rooted firmly in the ground, or are you a leaf, tossed about by every gust of wind? A woman's moods, her challenges, her doubts, these are the gusts of wind. A man who lacks containment becomes possessed by her emotional weather. Her smile becomes his sun, her disappointment his tomb. He panics when she pulls away, his nervous system treating her moods like life or death signals. This is why men who fail this test don't fail loudly. They dissolve quietly. They adapt to her every whim, becoming elastic, stretchable, and ultimately forgettable. She doesn't feel him anymore, not because he left, but because he disappeared into her. This internal sturdiness, this ability to contain, is the very essence of emotional maturity. An emotionally mature man takes responsibility for his own feelings. He doesn't blame his partner for his frustration. He can identify when he's made a mistake and apologize for it without becoming defensive or collapsing into shame. He is a man who belongs to himself first, and it is from that place of sovereignty that he can truly and deeply love another. The everyday proving grounds. How the test unfolds. This test for containment isn't a one-time event. It happens constantly in the small, seemingly insignificant moments of daily life. These are the proving grounds where she secretly judges your core. The character check, how you treat the little people. Nothing reveals a man's true nature faster than how he treats people in service positions. When you're dismissive to a waiter or impatient with a cashier, you're not just being rude. You're signaling to her that your sense of self is fragile. You're showing that you need to assert dominance over someone in a lower power position to feel secure. A man with true inner strength, a man who can contain himself, doesn't need to do this. He is kind not because others are nice, but because he is. His respect is a constant, flowing from a wellspring of self-assurance. He says please and thank you, not as a matter of rote manners, but as a reflection of his default attitude toward others. This demonstrates integrity, a cohesive and honorable character based on moral principles you wouldn't stray from. This integrity makes her feel safe and cared for, because a man who is honorable in public is likely to be honorable in private. The presence test. Your phone and your focus in our hyper-connected world. Your attention is your most valuable currency. When you're on a date and your phone is on the table, constantly lighting up with notifications you can't resist checking, you're failing a crucial test. It's not just about politeness. It's about presence. Are you really listening? Or are you just waiting for your turn to talk? A man who can contain his own distractions, his work stress, his social media FOMO, his buzzing pocket, and offer his undivided attention is demonstrating immense strength. He is signaling that she is his priority. Good listening is a selfless act. It's a sacrifice you make for the other person. It's not about giving advice, analyzing her problems, or trying to cheer her up. That's about you and your need to fix things. True listening is about simply conveying understanding. It's holding space for her reality, her feelings, her dilemmas, and letting her know that you get it. When you can do that, you're not just hearing her words. You are containing her emotions, making her feel seen and safe. This is one of the most underrated attractive qualities a man can possess. The past test. The ghost of exes. Past. How you speak about your exes is a giant, flashing billboard advertising your level of emotional maturity. If you trash your ex, paint yourself as the flawless victim, or share intimate details too soon, you're waving a dozen red flags. What is she listening for? Growth. Accountability. She wants to see if you've learned from your past or if you're still stuck in it. A man who speaks about his dating history with maturity and neutrality demonstrates emotional intelligence. He shows he has processed his past, taken responsibility for his part in it, and moved on. In other words, he has contained the pain and chaos of a breakup and integrated it into his story as a lesson learned. A man who can't do that raises serious questions about his readiness for a new, healthy relationship. The rejection test. Your reaction to no. Here it is. The ultimate test of your spine. How do you react when she says no to something, a second date, a kiss, an opinion you hold? Do you pout, get defensive, try to argue her out of her feelings? This is where she's pressing against your reality to see if you vanish. A boy, when faced with rejection, breaks. He makes it about his ego, his hurt feelings. He might become angry or manipulative, trying to win the argument or guilt her into changing her mind. A man, however, stands firm. He doesn't crumble. He can accept her boundaries with grace, disagree respectfully, and handle rejection without losing his composure. He shows he can hold his own truth even when it costs him her approval. This isn't about being cold or uncaring. It's about having a center that is non-negotiable. When you can hear a no and respond with a calm, "Okay, I understand," you are demonstrating a level of emotional sovereignty that is breathtakingly attractive. You are showing her that you are safe, that you respect her, and that you are not a child who needs her validation to feel whole. The purpose test. Your ambition and direction from an evolutionary perspective. Women have long been wired to seek partners who can provide resources and security. In the modern world, this often translates to financial stability. A survey by WalletHub revealed that 54% of people would break up with a partner who spends money irresponsibly, and another found financial security to be one of the most attractive traits in a partner, just behind humor and intelligence. But make no mistake, the ambition test is not just about the size of your bank account. It's about your drive. A man doesn't have to be a millionaire, but he has to have a direction. He needs goals, passions, a sense of purpose. It's about having a growth mindset, the belief that you can improve your skills and your situation through hard work and learning. Why is this so attractive? Because a man with ambition has his own internal engine. He is moving forward in life, not just drifting aimlessly. This drive signals inner strength, resilience, and a forward-looking optimism. It shows her that he is building a life, not just waiting for one to happen to him. Whether his passion is climbing the corporate ladder, mastering a craft, or building a charity, that passion is a fire within him. And women don't want flowers. They want fire. They are drawn to the man who radiates his own heat, rather than the one who begs to be warmed by hers. The cave and the connection, a primal dance. One of the most profound and misunderstood tests of containment happens when one of you is under stress. This is where the classic "men are from Mars, women are from Venus" dynamic comes into play, a concept explored by experts worldwide. When a man faces a difficult problem, his instinct is often to retreat into his cave. He wants to be alone, to think, to work through the problem by himself. For him, finding the solution on his own is a mark of competence and value. He doesn't want unsolicited advice. He wants space and respect for his process. When a woman sees the man she cares about retreat, her instinct is often the opposite. She is wired for connection. She wants to help, to offer solutions, to talk it through. She sees this as an act of love and support. But when her well-intentioned advice is met with his silence or a request to be left alone, she feels rejected, shut out, and may think he doesn't value her input. This is a critical moment. The man who lacks containment will handle his stress poorly. He might retreat and become cold and punishing, or he might lash out in frustration. The truly emotionally mature man retreats with grace. He contains his own stress without making it her problem. He might say something like, "I appreciate you. I just need some time to think this through. Whenever I'm ready to share or need your help, I'll let you know." With that simple statement, he honors his own need for space while validating her desire to connect. He holds the boundary. The test reverses when she is the one under stress. Her instinct is often to talk, to process her feelings out loud. She isn't necessarily looking for a solution. She's looking for connection and understanding. The man who fails this test immediately jumps into fix-it mode. He offers advice. He tells her why she shouldn't feel that way. He tries to solve her problem. The man who passes the test, the man who understands containment, simply listens. He holds space for her emotions without trying to change them. He becomes her shelter in the storm. He doesn't get swept up in her anxiety or frustration. He provides a calm, steady presence that makes her feel safe enough to be vulnerable. This, my friend, is one of the sexiest things a man can do. Becoming the man who passes the test. So, how do you cultivate this inner strength? How do you build a container strong enough to hold the beautiful chaos of life and love? It's not about being perfect, but about being aware and intentional. Embrace vulnerability as a strength. Society has told men for generations that showing weakness is forbidden. But women love connecting through vulnerability. Sharing a past hurt, a future goal, or a current struggle builds trust and deepens intimacy. It takes immense strength to be vulnerable, and she knows it. Make kindness your default. Don't confuse kindness with being a nice guy who is just trying to get something in return. Genuine kindness, altruism, has been scientifically proven to be a desirable quality that leads to greater mating success. It signals that you are a good partner and a potentially good parent, two key traits women look for. Be kind to everyone, not because they are nice, but because you are. Find your humor. A sense of humor is one of the most highly valued personality traits in a potential partner. Studies show that targets with a good sense of humor are rated as significantly more attractive and suitable for a long-term relationship. Humor isn't just about telling jokes. It's a sign of intelligence, resilience, and a positive, optimistic outlook. It shows you can look at the world from an interesting angle and not take yourself too seriously. Laughter decreases stress hormones and boosts feel-good hormones. It literally makes you healthier and more attractive. Know thyself. Humility and self-awareness are everything. Women love a man who knows his strengths and weaknesses, who can admit when he's made a mistake, and who isn't afraid to learn from her. This is the polar opposite of mansplaining, which is guaranteed to make a woman feel put down and annoyed. A humble man creates an equal dynamic in the relationship, making his partner feel supported, appreciated, and understood. Conclusion: the test is not for her, it's for you in the end. The one thing women secretly judge men on isn't one thing at all. It's a holistic impression of your inner world. It's the quiet confidence, the unwavering integrity, the emotional maturity, the grounded presence. It is your capacity for containment. She is looking for a man who is a sovereign being. A man who has faced the woman inside himself so he doesn't need to project his unresolved chaos onto her. She wants to know, can you hold your truth when it costs you her approval? Can you face her rage without becoming a little boy again? Can you love her deeply without losing the very ground beneath your feet? The great irony is that the moment you no longer need to pass her test, you have passed it. The test ends when you stop trying to win her approval and start simply being fully, freely, unshakably yourself. This journey isn't about changing who you are to please a woman. It's about showing up as your best, most thoughtful self. It's about becoming the man you were always meant to be. And that man, the one who is a force she can trust, not because of his promises but because of his presence, is the man she can never forget.